Welcome back. This is the Alchemist Nation podcast. My name is Walter Emeril, and I am your host. I get to travel all across the country talking to other millionaires and multimillionaires in the real estate market. Today, I have a very special couple of guests. I've got Nate and Bethany Smith. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having us. Great to be here.
Awesome start.
So we were just talking, and I was making fun of your background. You got the 10X everywhere. So obviously, you know who Uncle G is. You've been to
sure.
10X GrowthCon. You got some of the books, and I can tell you're also rocking the Russell Brunson brand, right? So do you recognize anything about this book?
The Underground Playbook. It looks just like, so it looks like you got some inspired ideas.
Inspired 100% from Russell Brunson. I love
it. Nice.
So how did you guys get started in real estate?
So we got started when I have a background in the military. I spent 13 years, and so right after I got out of the dorms, I used the VA loan and bought a house. I thought that was a smart thing to do as a 19-year-old, and had that for about 8 years. It cash flowed net zero, all said and done, but it got us put the foot in the door. Started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, got into a little bit of the single family. Didn't really do anything, but started looking at like wholesale fix and flip, and then Bethany got involved in the residential side of things. We ended up acquiring another single family property. We did kind of a short-term rental deal on. And then Uncle G came in the picture. And that's really where the switch came to multifamily. I started listening to his podcast. He started doing the math on, 16 units and above. I told Bethany, I was like, we're done with single family. Like, just forget that idea. Let's go all on multifamily. And ended up happening. I'll let her carry most of the story, but how we got into it was, there's another gentleman that came on my Facebook Live. He's doing a Facebook Live talking about a deal he had just done. I was like, probably can't get Uncle G on the phone, but I could probably get this guy on the phone. And so I hit him up. I was like, hey, I saw your live. I'd love to chat with you for a few minutes and just kind of see where my wife and I are trying to get in the game, get some recommendations. And we talked to him I did a Zoom with him, and then he's like, you need to go to this conference and this event. We started doing that, made some connections, and landed our first deal in 2019. But I'll let Bethany pick up the story from there, because ultimately, she's the one that did most of the work on the real estate side of things, because I was still in the military at the time. I deployed right after we got started multifamily stuff. So she ran with it. She found the deal and got us all going with it. So I'll let her.
All right, Bethany, you're up. It sounds like you're MVP right now. So tell me your side of it. It sounds like Nate is like, look, I decided we're going to do 16 units and then you do all the work. So smart man. Marry up.
I think in any great business partnership, there's a really great book out there called Rocket Fuel, and every great business partnership is comprised of what's called a visionary and an integrator. And a visionary kind of has the big picture, but is spinning in a million different directions, is thinking big, but has a hard time focusing on the details and the granular.
20 big ideas. That's all you need to do.
And that's definitely him. Yeah, he's always dragging me into things that, hey, we should do this, we should do that, we should do that. And then it takes a little bit longer for me to come around and get 100% on board. But once I do, it's all in. And so I think that's a big role of the integrator, that they can come in and kind of make sense of the mess and the chaos, and let's implement some systems, and let's focus in on, the details and the granular. So as he mentioned, we're a military couple, have that background that's made us somewhat unique. I think so many military couples get into real estate because it's a really legit side hustle that we can kind of, carry with us to different duty stations and grow that portfolio as we move around. We've moved 8 times in the last 11 years. So, it's definitely something that we could kind of get into and take with us. And I have a background in residential real estate sales. I was the director of ops for a team in Utah for a few years, and that really got my interest peaked in multifamily. It's kind of going that way anyway with commercial, just because I liked that clientele and that investor mindset where, they could look at a property really objectively, and it's all based on numbers, and act really quickly too. Yeah, for sure. And so beginning of 2019, quit my job, jumped into multifamily full time. For so many couples, the real advantage of being a couple is that you can kind of take turns as to who's doing the breadwinner type role at any given time, and then who's kind of doing the business building. So that's been really valuable for us that we've been able to do that. But 2019 was a year full of reading like crazy. I tried to read a book a week, got about 30 some in there, I think. Attending every networking event I possibly could. As he said, he was deployed a good portion of the year. So I was just like footloose and fancy free to build that knowledge base, and found our first deal shortly thereafter. So definitely not the Rockefellers yet, but we're working on developing our portfolio and a lot of really stable assets.
Wow, Bethany, very impressive. Almost a book a week. So I do read a book a week, closer to 60 a year.
Good for you.
Yeah, over 300 at this point, and it's worth it. It's a fun experience. Every book, you never know what the next, piece of $1 million advice will be. So I know the reason you have the addiction to it. And yeah, my library is ridiculous. And the goal is to make it more ridiculous. Like your building, I can see yours behind you. So
That's awesome.
Multifamily, we came to the same conclusion. Me and my business partner came to the same conclusion. We've read Rocket Fuel a bunch of times, Profit First. It's really important to get each other on the same page and being in the family. In fact, I just told my girlfriend Dorina, I was like, you got to read Rocket Fuel, right? Because I was like, I'm not integrator. I'll never be integrator. It's not who I am. I'm big ideas, big relationships. Like I got the vision. Like I'll crush. I'll raise capital. I'll find deals. But once I lock it down, I'm garbage, right? Like I'm out. like all I'll do is mess things up.
Yeah.
But I'll mess it up fast. So I got a business partner, an integrator. And he sounds like he does what Bethany does, where once I lock it down, he deals with the attorneys, the closings, the money, and as long as I bring in the money, people, the relationships, he's all set.
Yeah.
So you guys been working together for a little while now, both military. Where'd you serve?
So I served the Air Force. I did 4 years active, 4 years reserves. Had a goal since I was a kid to be a pilot. I got picked up for pilot training about 5 years ago. So now I'm flying in the Air National Guard out here in California, part-time.
You got the one job everybody goes in the Air Force for, and they're told no. So
I just took my tail to do that thing. I had to do my eye surgery done. I interviewed. So the Guard, I won't go out this rabbit trail too much, but in the Guard Reserve, to get hired by a unit, it's each individual unit does an interview. And so it's not like you go to one big board for every unit. Each unit does its own. So I interviewed like all over the country. And it took me a good solid 4 years of interviewing before I got picked up. And I love it. It's great. It was a lot of work.
Not an easy
But
process.
I went Guard though. Guard was the best kept secret because I get to fly part-time and it's a lot of fun, but also we knew we wanted to build business. We're entrepreneurial, we'll do that type of stuff too. And it's the best of both worlds. I get to do that for fun and enjoy that serving piece, but also I get to still build and have business.
Wow, very cool. So I will say thank you for your service. I got to have the only friend in the Air Force who got in the Air Force not to fly. My buddy was like, dude, like, I just want to be a grease monkey. He's like, I just want to fix shit. And like, ultimately, if I could just like tell people to fix stuff, I've won, right? Like I've beaten.
That's where I started. I started as a maintainer.
Yep.
So he's made his way to whatever C6, 7, whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
He works on C4s. He works on the C4s up in the Massachusetts base.
Okay.
Nice.
He's like, I've won, like I've won in life. I keep they send him to school to learn and to keep training. So thank you for your service, brother. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
My business partner is Navy, right? 17 years Navy. And so he told me, he's like, whenever somebody tells you they're in the military, ask them why they served, and then thank them for your service. Don't be an ass. Just be like, oh, thank you for your service. Like, you don't mean it. I was like, no, I don't mean it. I'm just being nice. Until I finally find out like what you did, where you hung out, like what you're doing. And now it's like, okay, like I do mean it. Like that's cool.
Cool.
One thing from that lifestyle and that community that I really appreciate is because of the frequent moving that so many of us in that line of work experience, we really, you kind of have to cut to the chase in your relationships, which I've seen has really benefited us in the business world too, where it's like, kind of have to cut through all the bull initially. Like, do we like each other? Do we trust each other? Can we build this like relationship, quickly? And it's been really valuable. So I've seen a lot of parallels kind of translate over.
So when you look into doing deals, what are the deals you're looking at right now?
So right now we're targeting assets that are built 1978 or newer. The reason for that is 1978, a lot of legislation came out kind of forbidding the use of lead-based paint, which is a toxin, and also asbestos. And so that can be a considerable expense to deal with. Also things like electrical systems and plumbing systems can be a real beast to have to update, like tens of thousands of dollars, even for a small to mid-sized complex. So Now, if we were to find a 60s build in a really great area that's just, maybe had some other updating done to it, like they've redone all the AC units and the roof, and so the only other major expenses are going to be that kind of guts of the building, you might take a look at it. But as a rule, by and large, we're sticking to the late 70s build and newer, probably like 80s and newer. C and B class assets, really, properties that need some work and that you can come in and this is where I really enjoy working, is taking a property and kind of analyzing it, reading between the lines, not only what income can you build there, so maybe they're not charging for laundry or something like that, but what expenses can you diminish as well. So like the subject property we closed on last year, their water bill was over double what it should have been. And anybody looking at that didn't really know the area or what it should have cost wouldn't have caught that. Even the current property manager and owner weren't catching that. They thought it was normal. So yeah, knowing your market really well, knowing the properties really well in that specific market it's gonna behoove you a lot to know that detail stuff. But yeah, properties that need work, maybe they're troubled, maybe they have some crime problems, and coming through and maybe hiring contract security to be on site to clean up a property. If it's kind of a troubled property in a good pocket, you don't really want to be going into the war zones and taking on that level of work usually.
Right.
But yeah.
No, you want to be the one who buys the building that is the war zone, that cleans up the war zone. Once you kick out the drug dealers and the prostitutes, it's like, hey, you're welcome. And now the neighborhood is nice.
Yeah, and it's amazing the community relationships that can come from that, from the local police department to local charities that are there, the subsidy program, that sort of thing. And so that for me has been the most rewarding aspect, and that's where I feel so much kind of self-gratification from the industry. Like, money's great, don't get me wrong, we're all here to make some money.
No, money is great. We like making the money. That just, let's not lie. This is why we're here.
Yep, exactly. But from a personal standpoint, and for me personally, I needed to have another level of, this is rewarding. This is giving back in a way. This is helping, improve our communities. And so that's the main thing I really enjoy about it.
The best businesses are where you can help people and make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the point is not to work; it's to generate income.
Income.
That's why we're here.
Cash flow, baby. That's right.
But it is, that's why we started the training company. It's the same thing, like we've even had some of our tenants come through this. We're licensed agents, although we don't transact ourselves anymore. We built a pretty sizable team, and to see our tenants do well is nice, but to see our students buy real estate and then their tenants do well is really cool. Like seeing this, change cities, neighborhoods, especially like I started in the city I grew up in. So like that was, a major impact for me. Now we own 60 units in the city I was raised in and started.
And where's that?
Fall River, Massachusetts. So it's not an area that you would invest in by choice. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the highest crime rate in the state. So it was it was my home though. It's where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I can invest anywhere in the country now. So, if you can tough it out and Fall River, you can invest pretty much anywhere as long as you learn the market. Like you're saying. And we discovered the same thing with the water bills. Absolutely great. Like we just go in when we buy a building, we turn the toilets out. Like that was just a quick save. Turn the toilets out. Turn the shower valves out, and you're saving money like instantly. Cut your water bill in half.
Mm-hmm.
So, what other pieces are you looking for? And say what market are you buying in right now? You're not buying in California.
Oh,
no, no, actually that's kind of rabbit hole, maybe not want to go down, but one other organization.
Beth, I want to go down the rabbit hole. I spoke in LA yesterday. I was in LA last night talking about the LA RIA, and I'll be back on Saturday doing a training called Get the Deal. So I told them, I was like, you could do it in your market. And I'm like, but you got to go like Central Valley, right? In LA.
We're in market plus Rocky,
LA.
Arizona.
I do. Go ahead.
Arizona, Vegas, those types of areas, New Mexico, anything that we can get to in a reasonable amount of time from here. We like those markets.
Yeah, our objective really was to be able to get out and back to a subject market within a day. He's in aviation, obviously, so we want to eventually get a plane and be able to, hop out to our different markets and back. And so.
I like that. So Vegas is an interesting market, right? I lived out there for a while, and Vegas is that one market that you don't touch at this point in the marketplace, right? Like where we are in the scheme of things. Remember what happened in 08? Vegas dropped 70% of all market. Vegas got crushed, but it's the one that when we drop, you better believe I'll be out there, right? Like Vegas, it's the easiest play. Like it's a long-term play, but man, it goes up for so long, so fast, but you got to get in low because Vegas goes lower than everybody else.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Though,
but also too, the other thing, like if you're focused in multifamily, like it seems to be, even when the market, no matter what the market does, the one steady asset class is apartments.
Multifamily.
Like one of our mentors talks about how he lost his butt on all of his single family, but what kept him afloat was all his multifamily, which is why he's in single family anymore. But for that reason. But
and you're looking for those solid pockets of a particular market, like maybe not investing on the Strip in Vegas, or close to it, or anywhere really in the central city, but on the
North
outlying
Las
areas.
Vegas, Henderson, Summerlin, you get away from Vegas to Strip, and you can do all right. Unless you're doing Airbnbs, you can do condos in Vegas on the Strip and do all right. But Vegas also regulates Airbnbs, so it's it's one of those markets where you got to be very specific and very keyed into what you're doing. But it sounds like you guys are doing the research and you're doing doing the learning, building the relationships. What is your big goal for 2021?
So on the real estate side of things, which I'll cover, two apartment assets, so medium to large, at minimum 30 units to 150 is pretty much what we're targeting right now. So 2 assets in 2021 is my goal, at least, if not more.
And the other big goal this year, not real estate related, but just business related. We have a financial services business that we're looking to scale, and we're brokers, and we're looking to develop at least 6 more brokers and build that out. That's kind of our cash generator to fund real estate. And so we're really focused on scaling that out to get it going so we can have more money for real estate.
Brokers as in real estate broker agents?
Yeah, so and we're in the financial services realm. So we do a lot of life and health type products, annuities, life insurance, a lot of teaching people how money really works. We also have the ability to offer more traditional investment options through our platform for our securities-based agents. We're not securities licensed, but
Series 6.
I'm not in that realm, but my broker is, who I work with. She's got all of her series licenses, but I personally don't. So I mostly focus in on strategies, like I was mentioning earlier. I call it cash flow banking, infinite banking, strategies for business owners, entrepreneurs, real estate investors that want to put their money in a vehicle that can still get good, secure compound growth without downside risk and still liquid and be accessible to buy real estate.
I like that. I like liquidity. One of my biggest problems with real estate this year is we've got millions sitting in our assets, and crypto was a fun experience, and the stock market has been a fun experience. The money I've put in, I've quadrupled, right? I just like in the short, 3-month periods, 6-month periods, and I've just been like sitting there being like, motherfucker, like why is all my money in real estate right now? Like I could just do a quick refinance, get my money back. There's nothing quick about a refinance in the commercial world right now. We just did
one. We're going through that right now. It's been months.
The refinance we just did, they won't even let us cash out, right? Like, so we got like $3 million sitting in assets because I had a 59.1% equity position because the lenders are like, we're not really doing cash refis right now.
Interesting.
Wow.
So it's a great situation to be in, but liquidity is nice, right? In real estate, we don't have that liquidity sometimes. So it's it's one of those pieces. Now, unfortunately, you guys are, I'm sure, the same way. You raise a lot of capital, right? Like, so it's other people's money. It's not really money that we put in, but the money is in there now, and we like to get the money back out. So
exactly.
Welcome to the game, right? All right. So I know where you're going. I know where you've been. How did you two meet? Because this is the first time I've had a couple on the podcast. So you guys are very unique. Typically it's me and some white guy talking about how he got rich doing real estate. So having the two of you on it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So we met high school.
High school youth group, actually.
High school youth group through church. I liked her. She didn't like me. And I pursued her for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years before she finally would date me, and we ended up dating and got married. The cool part about the story, though, was like I'd asked her to date me like 3 different times. She's like, no, 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 no. And then we started talking again, like just before I went to Afghanistan for my second deployment. I was like, I'm not dealing with this back and forth thing if I'm in, middle of nowhere, other side of the world. I was like, so you're in or you're out. And if you're out, it's over. Like, I'll never talk to you again. I said, I'm in. So we ended up Skype dating for 6 months, came back, saw each other, and still liked each other in person.
It's called the hard close, Nate. You gave her the hard close.
And let's be clear,
Hey,
his invitation to date was basically a marriage proposal.
It was. I was already. I already knew like years before. It took me a while to. We know Grant is. I mean, it took a lot of follow up.
I remember.
I'm relentless.
I didn't hang up on him because that was pretty rude, but I remember saying, "I will never be an Air Force wife."
Yes.
Goodbye.
And then when she said yes, I said, "I'm about."
Look at you now, Bethany.
And when she said yes, I was about to deploy for 6 months, and she said okay, and then. We got married about 6 months after I got back from that deployment, and yeah, it's been going. And then we've been married for a little over 11 years now, and yeah, it's been great.
11 years, I like that. So, you guys are older than you look, or you got married at like 14. So, how old are you guys?
We're 33.
30, yeah.
33. All right, so we're the same age. So awesome. I like that. Technically, I guess I'm older than you, but you could tell. I've already lost a few hairs. This game is so amazing because you can be absolutely anywhere in the world. You could come from any past. Beth, I don't know if I caught your career. So I know Nate's been in the Air Force. What have you been doing the last 11 years or before you guys started dating?
Started out in education, actually. My initial plan was to be a bilingual ed teacher. And then I switched to elementary ed, dropped out of college halfway through though to marry him. And so kind of got stuck in this black hole for a year where, newly married, and that was great and everything.
Oh, okay. But I thought you were calling your marriage a black hole. That scared the hell out of me.
Let's put this in the concept. So she was from Boise, Idaho. I was stationed in Valdosta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So when we got married, I took her all the way across the country.
Yeah.
So
had a little bit of culture shock.
A little adjustment.
Or it's like you can't really go out and enjoy nature because there's too many poisonous things and alligators and like buzzards circling. So.
Sell it to me though, right? Sell it to me, George. Yeah.
No, but yeah, we weren't ready to have kids. We still don't have kids. I'm sure they'll be in the picture somewhere later down the road. But it was important for me to be able to grow a career. And I really wasn't sure what that was going to be. A lot of military spouses go through this struggle where it's like we try to find ourselves in terms of a career, and we have such a hard time growing some career that can travel with us and go through all the different life stage phases we go through. Yeah.
You don't want to work.
Yeah. So really my task was to find something I could do remotely, which at the time, 11 years ago, remote work wasn't really a thing. So I did a lot of research to try to find different opportunities that would allow me to change locations and be able to work on the fly. So I worked in education for a company called tutor.com for several years. Great company to provide free service to DoD service members, and then got into real estate because as you mentioned, we had that first rental property that really kind of piqued our interest in real estate investing just overall. We had read Rich Dad Poor Dad, made a lot of sense to us, but it was very different from how we grew up. So it's like, man, can we do this? So that's been the biggest hurdle, is like that mindset change. But yeah, working in real estate for a few years on the residential side, and then pivoting into multifamily. It's such a different line of work. I mean, when I tell my older friends or people that aren't in this space, they're just like, like, you do what? And
and it's a toilet. It's gonna suck.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been incredibly rewarding and to maybe kind of come full circle from starting out with house hacking a single family home, and now we're starting to build our multifamily portfolio. It's really exciting, but I'm just really thankful for everything we've learned along the way and gone through and experienced.
Yeah, I like that you're not starting out small, right? Like you guys really quickly caught on and realized, hey, you know what, multifamily makes more sense. more leverage, the better, especially right now during an inflation period. This is for everybody who's listening right now. If you're listening, you're getting value, please jump onto the Alchemist Nation podcast on iTunes. Give us a review. It makes it much easier for other people to say, you know what, this is something valuable. I want to take my business to the next level, take my life to the next level, like Nate and Bethany Smith have done here. Like that segue. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to go and buy real estate in the multifamily arena because you can spend more money, and the more money you spend on debt, the more that debt goes down in value. You want to leverage debt right now. Debt is the biggest asset you can have. The dollar is garbage. Cash is trash. Cash flow is king because it's what keeps us running, but we want to utilize debt in a big way. Ken McElroy has been talking about it a lot lately. Ken McElroy from Rich Dad Poor Dad wrote the book, ABC's of Real Estate Investing, and he has been really heavy on demographic shifts. Have you guys read the book, Big Shifts Ahead?
I haven't read that one yet.
So Big Shifts Ahead, take a look at it. It is all about the demographic patterns and migratory patterns and demographic shifts that are happening right now in the country. It was written about 5 years ago, and it talks about the next 10 years. Okay. So it's a great book to figure out like where to buy. And everything that we're talking about led to Tampa. That's why I'm down here in Tampa right now. It's the biggest, fastest growing market that is still buyable, that you can still get into. Austin, Fort Worth, Dallas, like they're shot. Like thanks to basically anything Elon does, I get out of, right? Anything except for Tesla, I hold Tesla, but anything that he gets into and he's like, Dogecoin, I'm like, all right, pump and dump, in, out, anything he gets into. But I think Austin's going to do great. Phenomenal market. It's going to keep skyrocketing, but it's the same as LA now. It's the prices are just getting outrageous and cash flow isn't there. Yeah. So you got to move to the Midwest. You got to go to different states. Georgia's another great one. A lot of my buddies are going to Atlanta, picking up 300-400 units out that way. So what you're doing is the right thing. You're on the right track. I got to ask, because you guys are a young couple who are looking to take your lives and business to the next level together. And I always ask one question at the end of every podcast. So we're at the end, and I want to see, how you answer this as a couple, because it'll be a little different. But if you go back to your 20-year-old self, what are the 3 pieces of advice you'd give yourselves that would get you to where you are faster or more successful quicker?
The number one thing that I've learned along the journey is, like, especially like you mentioned earlier, like, can we do multifamily? Is nothing is complicated. It's just you don't have the knowledge yet. So the fastest way to get the knowledge is to go find someone that's done it, get in that room and listen to them talk about it. Because I know when we first got into multifamily, it was like, wow, this is really daunting. Like, oh my gosh, like, and then I got in a room with Grant Cardone, and then I got in a room with some other people and actually at GrowthCon, we sat next to a guy who owned 4,000 units. He had a bigger portfolio than Grant. And we started talking to him, and we realized if you just get around the right people, you realize how uncomplicated it is. And so that'll be the number one thing is get in the right rooms faster. Took me a few years to do that because it just comes down to it's just lack of knowledge. And like I know what I know now, or back when I was 20, I was confident what I knew at that point. Well, how did I get confident at that point? It's because of the knowledge I had built to that point. So now it's just a matter of going to find the next piece of knowledge to keep growing and developing. So that's probably the number one thing for me.
Yeah.
You get number 2.
Do we alternate?
Yeah. Beth, you got number 2. Let's go.
What's the third one?
Yes.
I think the biggest one that was going to be one of mine, and actually that was something that kind of bugged me about him initially when he was asking me to date him. Is he would always kind of seek out who the big person in the room was and go like just kind of stalk them. Just been a great trait. Been a great trait, but at first it's a little annoying, but now it's like he's absolutely right. And so many of our friends now are multimillionaires, and not only are they great people business wise to hang around with, they're just fun people. They're upbeat, they're positive, they're forward thinking, they're not complaining and all that sort of stuff. So that's key for sure. Biggest thing for me personally, looking back at least 10, 11 years, would be to get over myself faster. So in terms of feeling insecure, feeling scared, feeling like, oh, I can't do that. The minute you decide and commit on something, as we've been personally encountered, the minute we decide and then commit to it, it's going to happen sooner or later. It may not happen very fast. You may have to change some things along the way, but Yeah, but just get out of your own head, and just like, hey, I'm gonna put my head down and do this. And so I wish I had done that sooner, or just getting out of that, like, that fear stage, really.
I
And
like
I think the last thing I would give myself.
What's that?
So good.
Appreciating yourself, just seeing that you can do just about anything.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's so hard to do though. If you kind of come from an environment or circle or something where it's like, oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, you really think that's, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, that, and so, and that's where the majority of America is, it's just fear of the unknown, I think. And so
I think that's where most people come from. Most people come from there. So if I were to ask you for a third piece, and you were to, rock, paper, scissors on this, what would be the third piece of advice you'd give somebody in their 20s looking to take their life to the next level?
My thing would be, this is something I'm really passionate about now, is learn how money actually works. And not just like how to make it and how to spend it, how to invest it, how to put that money to work for you early on, because like the power of compound interest, rule of 72, all these different concepts that if you can apply early, you get the compound effect growing. Yes, exactly.
Love the visual.
Like all that stuff, like get your money to work for you day one. Like start investing as soon as possible and be consistent with it. That was my biggest thing. Like I was young and dumb.
Get Uncle Trump, right?
So one of the things I did the standard thing that most young military people do. I got back from the deployment, and the day I got back, we rolled into town. We wanted a firehouse sub. There's a sub place there. And as we rolled into town, there's a small little car dealership sitting on the side of the road with a 1969 Camaro on it. I'm like, I'll buy that. Dropped 10 G's on that thing and ended up dropping another 5 G's on it because I blew the transmission on it. The engine, it was a just total disaster.
Thank God you were young.
The 10 grand and maybe, I put that into an investment.
Elon Musk went and bought a McLaren. So he was spent $1 million, spent $10,000. It's the same difference.
Well, but understand the concept of like, maybe I should take that money, invest it, get an asset, and then buy it. That's my mindset now. But that would be the last thing I would say.
It's great advice. So Nate Bethany, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and get in touch with you, learn a little bit more about what you're doing, some of the work you do on the financial advising side, or they have a deal and they want to bring it to you, or they want to partner with you, what's the easiest way to contact you?
Best way is just go to our website, www.yourcashflowcouple.com, and you'll find everything else you need to get in touch with us there.
So it's yourcashflowcouple.com.
Yep, yourcashflowcouple.com.
Yep.
Pure cash flow?
Your Y-O-U-R.
Your. All right. So yourcashflowcouple.com. Awesome. Nate, Beth, thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is the Alchemist Nation podcast. You are both alchemists because you have the abundance mindset. The idea is there's more. We can operate out of creation. There's no competing with anybody else. We're just slide into another market, slide into another deal, raise capital, help more people invest, and provide good, clean, quality housing for people. So I appreciate you so much. Looking forward to a deeper relationship. Bethany, you definitely got to connect with my girlfriend, Dorina. She's a real estate investor, owns a bunch of property herself. Seeing women in the business who are in the business with their spouses is, pure fire, because it's one of the keys to success. And seeing how you're actually the integrator, that's the role I slipped her into as well. My business partner integrates a lot of the stuff we do on my rental portfolio, but on the training company, Dorina runs everything. I'm just the face, and me. I totally relate. We're such beautiful people. So
our financial business, that's how it works. Like I'm the front of house. I'm talking to people. I'm talking to clients, and then when we close the deal, or we close a policy or whatever, I'm like, and she's making sure everything goes through, and she helps with the training side of when we developing our new agents and stuff like that. So yeah,
I like it. I appreciate you guys. Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's great to hang out and look forward to staying in touch.
Yep.
Absolutely, brother. I'll see you online. Later, guys.